So the other day I was reflecting on the hardships we endure. Sometimes just making it through another day. There's no doubt we have obstacles to overcome that were unheard of centuries ago. But there are also challenges that are thankfully foreign to us, that were commonplace long ago. Compared to life in, say, the 1400s, our modern world is dramatically easier thanks to several advancements, like widespread healthcare, despite the frustrations associated with it, and life-saving medicine that prevent and treat illnesses once considered fatal. Instantaneous global communication through phones and the internet, accessible education and literacy that empower us with knowledge and opportunity, reliable transportation that allows us to travel long distances in hours instead of weeks, and modern conveniences, from clean running water and electricity to refrigeration and food access. These all remove daily burdens our ancestors spent most of their lives managing. So this thought path led me to researching a few historical figures from the 15th century. Not sure why I picked that time frame. I just threw a virtual thought dart at the board, and that's where it hit. Anyway, to help me to continue to endure my daily obstacles, I wanted to peek at others throughout history that held strong despite considerable resistance. One was Suleiman the Magnificent. He lived from 1494 to 1566. He was the longest reigning Ottoman sultan. Suleiman faced constant challenges: rebellions, massive military campaigns, sea battles against European coalitions, and political intrigue within his own palace. He was resilient. He maintained stability over a vast empire while simultaneously leading armies across Europe and the Middle East. Even late in life, suffering from illness, he personally rode out to command his final campaign, dying in the field, still carrying the burden of leadership. Another was Tokugawa Ieyasu, who lived from 1543 to 1616. Ieyasu survived a childhood as a political hostage, a kid spent navigating the chaos of the Warring States period, decades of betrayals, shifting alliances, and military defeats. His resilience was demonstrated in his patience. He endured setbacks that would have destroyed other leaders, outlasted powerful rivals like Oda Nobunaga and Toyotomi Hideyoshi. You should Google these guys. And he eventually unified Japan. His endurance produced the Tokugawa shogunate, which shaped Japanese society for over 250 years. These two were great, but the figure that really stuck out to me was Joan of Arc. You ever hear of this young lady? She was born in 1412 in Domremy, France, and died in 1431 at the age of 19. I'm going to spend a couple minutes with a history lesson, so get comfy. You'll want to stay, trust me. Her story begins in a tiny village in France where she grew up far from power, privilege, or influence. As a young girl, she sensed a calling that felt bigger than her circumstances. You ever feel like that? Quiet but persistent conviction that she had a role to play in lifting her country out of crisis. While most people would have dismissed such a belief as impossible, Joan held on to it with remarkable clarity. She understood, even then, that purpose often starts as a whisper, and that courage grows when we dare to listen. When France fell into chaos during the 100 Years' War, Joan's inner resolve strengthened. Despite having zero military background, she was a teenager, she pressed forward, convinced that she could make a difference. She traveled through dangerous territory, faced relentless skepticism, and endured repeated rejection from leaders who saw her as nothing more than an uneducated teenage girl. Still, she persisted. Her determination and her refusal to let others define her limits became the foundation of her influence. Eventually, Joan's conviction broke through the disbelief surrounding her. She was given a chance to lead, and she stepped into that role with extraordinary bravery. On the battlefield, she became a symbol of resilience, rallying exhausted soldiers and restoring hope where it had nearly disappeared. By the way, she was essentially a general leading an army at 17 years old. Katniss, Hunger Games. Seriously, the real-life story of Joan of Arc rivals Hunger Games. Anyway, what really set her apart wasn't just her willingness to fight, it was her unwavering belief that obstacles were not signs to stop, but challenges to rise above. Her presence turned fear into momentum and doubt into action. Obviously, her path was far from smooth. Captured by her enemies and betrayed by those who once supported her, she faced imprisonment, interrogation, and ultimately a death sentence, again at the age of 19. Even then, she never wavered in her truth. Her courage in those final days revealed a deeper kind of strength, one that doesn't depend on winning or losing, but on remaining faithful to who you are. She showed that resilience means holding on to your integrity even when the cost is high. Joan of Arc's legacy endures because it speaks to something universal, the power of a determined spirit. Her life reminds us that extraordinary strength can come from the most unlikely places, and that each of us is capable of rising above hardship with purpose and courage. Whether we're battling inner doubts or external challenges, her example encourages us to stay rooted in what we believe, stand tall through adversity, and never back down from the work our heart calls us to do. What great thing will come because of your resilience, your daily struggles, your uphill battles? Will you save a nation? Will you overthrow corrupt powers? Will you lead an army into battle? Probably not, but you never know. Maybe your only great accomplishment will be in establishing a safe home for your kids to grow up in. Perhaps your only claim to fame will be your kindness to others. Possibly, your slight contribution to humanity will be simply in trying to do good more than the overwhelming bad that surrounds us. I think those accomplishments are worthy endeavors. They manifest themselves from the same place that drove those great historical figures. They were trying to do their part where they could, when they could, how they could. With you and I, it is the same. Let's leave the world a little better for us having been here. In that way, we are great, like the heroes we read about.